How do I heal my inner child? That is the question you've brought to me today. And I want you to know right now that just by asking it, you have already taken a step toward a kind of bravery most people spend their entire lives avoiding. This is your dad. Let's talk about this together. Pull up a chair, maybe pour yourself something warm to drink, and let's just sit here for a while. This isn't a conversation about fixing something that is broken beyond repair. It's a conversation about finding a part of you that got left behind in the dark and bringing them home. Healing your inner child is a concept that is deeply relevant today for many people practicing what we call reparenting as adults. But to me, as your dad, it's much simpler than a clinical term. It's about becoming the protector, the listener, and the steady hand for yourself that you didn't always have when you were small, regardless of which parent wasn't able to give it to you. I want you to close your eyes for a second and imagine a version of you when you were 5 or 7 or 10 years old. Think of that child in a moment when they felt small or scared or unheard. Maybe they were standing in a hallway listening to a mother's harsh critiques, or maybe they were sitting at a kitchen table alone, wondering if they were the reason for a father's heavy silence. That child is still there, tucked away inside the person you are today. When you feel that sudden burst of anxiety when someone is disappointed in you, or that deep hollow ache when you feel ignored, that isn't the adult you reacting. That is the inner child who is still waiting for a parental figure to come into the room and say, "I see you, and you are safe." Healing starts when you realize that the person they are waiting for is you. You are the only one with the keys to that room now. In this life, many of us grow up with deep parental wounds, the weight of an unsupportive mother, a passive father, or a guardian who didn't know how to show up for the emotional needs of their children. I know how much that stings. I know how it feels to look for a reflection of your worth in a parent's eyes and find only a blank stare, a list of chores, or a critique of your personality. If you didn't have a steady voice to guide you, you likely spent a lot of time asking the world, "Am I enough?" Reparenting is the process where you stop looking for that answer from people who don't have the capacity to give it to you, whether that's a father who was emotionally miles away or a mother who couldn't see past her own pain, and you start giving it to yourself. It means looking at that little version of you and saying, "You are more than enough. You were enough the day you were born, and you are enough today." We often talk about the passive parent, the one who is physically in the house but emotionally absent. That silence is its own kind of wound. It teaches a child that their feelings are a burden or that their joy is too loud for the room. But there is also the wound of the critical parent, the one whose love felt like a moving target you could never quite hit. If you grew up with a mother or father who only smiled when you brought home an A or when you stayed perfectly quiet, you learned that love is conditional. Healing your inner child means breaking that contract. It means telling yourself, "I love you when you succeed, but I love you just as much when you fail. I love you when you're productive, and I love you when you're just sitting here breathing." You are teaching that child that they don't have to perform to be worthy of a place at the table. One of the most important parts of this healing is learning how to set boundaries, not just with the people around you now, but with the family patterns that keep you stuck. You might find that as you start to heal, the people who were used to your unhealed self, the version of you that was always the caretaker or the one who never complained, might get uncomfortable. They might try to pull you back into the old roles. But your job as your own parent is to stand between that inner child and anyone who would try to make them feel small again. You have to be the one to say, "No, we don't accept that kind of treatment anymore." Setting those boundaries is an act of love for the child you once were. It is you finally being the guardian that should have been there years ago. Forgiveness is often brought up in these conversations, and I want to be very careful with that word. There is a lot of pressure to forgive parents who were unsupportive or who left you to fend for yourself. But I want you to know that healing your inner child doesn't require you to excuse the people who failed you. Forgiveness, if it comes at all, is something that happens for your peace, not theirs. What matters more than forgiving them is forgiving yourself. Forgive yourself for the coping mechanisms you developed just to survive. The lying, the hiding, the perfectionism. Forgive yourself for being angry, or for being too much, or for not being able to fix a family situation that was never your responsibility to fix. You were just a child. You were doing the best you could with the tools you had, and I am so sorry you had to be the adult in the room when you were still small enough to need a bedtime story. Daily reparenting is a practice of small, quiet moments. It's noticing when you're being hard on yourself and stepping in with a gentler voice. If you make a mistake at work and your first instinct is to hear your mother's voice calling you clumsy or your father's voice calling you lazy, I want you to stop. I want you to catch that thought and replace it with the voice of the parent you deserved. Say to yourself, "It's okay. Everyone makes mistakes. We'll figure this out together." It sounds simple, but those small shifts in how you talk to yourself are the bricks that build a new foundation of self-worth. You are teaching your nervous system that the authority figure in your life is now a source of kindness, not a source of shame. I want you to know that this isn't a journey with a final destination where everything is perfect. Healing is more like a garden. Sometimes the weeds of old memories grow back, and you have to go out and pull them again. Sometimes that inner child will be louder and more frightened than others. But every time you stop, breathe, and acknowledge that pain without running away from it, you are winning. You are proving that the cycle of absence and unsupportive behavior stops with you. You are becoming the parent that you needed, and in doing so, you are freeing yourself from the search for a validation that was never going to come from the outside. I have lived a long time, and I have seen people carry their parental wounds into their old age, still waiting for a mother or father who is long gone to tell them they are proud of them. Don't wait for that. The validation you are seeking is already inside you, waiting for you to claim it. You are a miracle of survival. You have carried yourself through the fire, and you are still standing. I am so incredibly proud of the work you are doing. It is the hardest work there is, but it is also the most rewarding. As you move through your week, try to find one small thing you can do just for the little you. Eat the snack you weren't allowed to have, wear the bright colors you were told were too much, or simply take 5 minutes to sit in the quiet and tell that child, "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. We're in this together." You are safe now. You are seen, and you are more loved than you can possibly imagine. I'll be here, and I'll see you in the next letter. Love, Dad.